You're pulled over as a passenger. The officer leans in and starts asking questions. You answer thinking it's harmless, but what you don't realize is that's often the moment you give up your rights. And I've seen it firsthand representing passengers who thought they had nothing to hide until their answers got used to justify a search or worse, an arrest. I'm Nana Knight. I'm a criminal defense attorney here in California. And if you're riding in a car, you need to know the subtle tactics police use to get passengers to waive their rights without even realizing it. This video walks you through the key phrases to avoid, what you're not legally required to say, and how to assert your rights clearly without escalating the situation. So you stay protected, avoid getting consent you didn't mean to, and make sure a simple ride doesn't turn into something far more serious. And here's the mindset that makes this work. You can be calm, you can be respectful, but you don't have to be helpful in a way that hurts you. The goal is simple. Short stop, no consent, no extra information. All right. So let's talk about trap number one. Trap number one is just a quick question. This is the friendly entry point. An officer leans in and says something like, "Hey, you don't mind if I ask you a quick question, do you?" And then it's casual. "Where are you coming from? Where are you headed? Do you know why I stopped you?" And here's what most passengers don't realize. If you answer those quick questions, you can accidentally hand over information that creates suspicion or gives the officer a reason to investigate further. And maybe you mentioned you were coming from a party, and now the officer asks, "Has anyone in the car had anything to drink tonight?" And if you say, "I had one," well, you just changed the entire tone of the stop. So here's the line to memorize as a passenger in California. "Officer, I don't wish to answer any questions." That's it. Calm voice, respectful tone, no extra explanation. And if they keep pressing, you repeat it. "Officer, I don't wish to answer any questions." Now let's talk about trap number two. Trap number two is the "mind if I take a quick look?" This is the consent search. It sounds innocent. "Mind if I check under your seat? Do you mind if I look in your bag? Anything in your pocket I should know about?" And most people think if I just say yes, we'll be on our way faster. But consent is how a routine stop turns into a legal search. Because if you give permission, you may be giving them what they couldn't do otherwise. So your line here is simple and memorized. "Officer, I do not consent to any searches. Not of your bag, not of your pockets, not of your phone, and not of anything you own." Again, you don't argue, you don't debate. You just calmly stated, "Officer, I do not consent to any searches." Now let's talk about trap number three. This is the one that gets polite people in trouble even after the stop is basically over. Trap number three is, "You're free to leave, but can we have a talk first?" Or "Can we talk first before you go?" It sounds like you have a choice. The officer says something like, "You're not in trouble," or "You're free to go," and then follows up with, "But can you answer a few questions?" And a lot of people stay because they think that leaving them makes them look guilty. But here's the reality. If you're truly free to go, you can go. And staying to be helpful is how people end up giving more information, getting searched, or getting detained longer. So here's a magic question. Am I being detained, officer? Or am I free to go? Let me say it again, because this is the one that you want to have in your back pocket. Am I being detained or am I free to go? If they say you're free to go, you leave. Calmly, quietly, no extra comment. If they say you're being detained, then you know this is no longer a casual conversation. Now let's talk about trap number four. This is the safety check trap. Trap number four is, "We're just making sure everyone's safe." You'll hear phrases like, "We're going to do a quick safety check," or "For everyone's safety, I need you to step out," or "Let me pat you down real quick." Safety sounds reasonable, and that's why this works. But safety is not a free pass to search you or your belongings just because you're a passenger. In general, police can't search you just because you're there, and they can't pat you down without a specific reason to believe you're armed or you're dangerous. So if you're asked to empty your pockets, open your bag, or hand over personal items because of a safety check, you keep calm, maintain your calmness, and you go right back to your script. "Officer, I don't consent to any searches." If they start asking about your bag, your purse, or belongings, you can add, "That's my private property," and then stop volunteering information. Now, trap number five is the one that people find most intimidating because it feels like you have no choice. Let's talk about this. Trap number five is, Your ID, please. Officers will often ask passengers for identification even if the passenger hasn't done anything wrong. And here's why that matters. When your ID gets run, it can turn a short stop into a long one. Warrants, probation status, old mix-up, name confusion, even system errors, right? So sometimes people get held up for things they didn't even know existed. So instead of immediately handing over your ID, you ask one question that forces clarity. Officer, am I legally required to provide my identification? And if you need to follow up, it's the same magic question from earlier. Am I being detained? If you're not legally required, you can politely say, then I don't wish to provide my identification or ID. Again, calm, respectful, minimal. So let's do a recap. As a passenger in California, watch for these 5 traps. Number 1, just a quick question. Your response is going to be, I don't wish to answer any questions. Number 2, mind if I take a quick look around? Your response is going to be, I do not consent to any searches. Number 3, you're free to leave, but your response, am I being detained or am I free to go? Number 4 is, we're just doing a safety check. Your response, I don't consent to any searches. And finally, number 5, your ID, please. Your response, am I legally required to provide my ID? And if needed, am I being detained? Short stop, no consent, no extra information. If you found this helpful, watch my next video on how to remove a domestic violence protective order. A lot of people wait until a protective order is already wrecking opportunities, housing, and their entire record, including their employment. That next video walks you through the steps that matter and the mistakes that keep people stuck. So go watch it now, and I'll see you over there.